Good afternoon. You are welcome to the class. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year in advance. I remain my humble self, Master John, your English teacher. Today, I'm going to teach you this topic. It's what you are familiar with. Just let's do some exercise with that topic. That is the clause in English, form, and syntactic analysis. We want to look at the form and the arrangement of clause. What is a clause? A clause is a group of words that has a subject and a predicator, contains a subject and predicator. So clause is next to sentence in the systemic grammar, where we have the letter, that is A to Z alphabet. The alphabet form morpheme, the morpheme form word, the word form phrase. Then after phrase we have a clause. So the differences between phrase and clause is that clause is a group of words that has a subject and the action, that is the predicator. Why in phrase, just maybe nominal phrase, that is a group of words that is headed by a noun without any traces of the predicator or verb there. Likewise, we have a verbal phrase, that's a group of words that are verbs without subject. So when you're talking about clause now, clause has both, that is both phrase and what? And predicator. So it can be subject, predicator. Sometimes that's a complement, sometimes an object that receive the action performed by the subject. So types of clause. Let's look at the types of clause. Types. Types of clause. Number one, we have the the alpha the alpha clause with the sign alpha sign. So number one is alpha clause. Alpha clause is a clause that can stand on its own without being dependent with another clause. It can stand on its own. That's what we refer to as alpha clause. It can stand on its own and convey meaning and has a complete thought. That is an alpha for you. With the sign, this is the sign, alpha sign we use to identify alpha clause. Example, we have she cooks the food. She cooked the food. She cooks the food. Look at this statement now. You don't need to ask further question for ask who cooked the food because it is well explained here that we have the subject here, which is the performer of the action cooked, which is the predicator received by the object food. That's object indirect. Object indirect. This is example number one of alpha clause. Example two, he played the ball. He played the ball. So the subject here, we have subject. He, then play, predicator, the ball, object indirect. So these are the examples of alpha clause. Mind you, alpha clause is also known as may clause. Either you call it may clause, you call it independent clause or master clause. These are referred to as alpha clause. We discovered that these two examples of statements, they can stand on their own without being depending on another clause to convey their meaning. So she cooked the food. Past message. He played the ball. Past message. That is alpha clause for you. So number two types of clause, we have the beta clause. The beta clause. Don't forget, number one, we have alpha clause. with this beta sign. So we have alpha clause and beta clause. What is a beta clause? A beta clause is a clause that has subject, has predicator, but it cannot stand on its own to convey full meaning of that statement. So a group of words that has subject and predicator, but the full meaning is not realized. That's what we refer to as beta clause. That is to say, beta clause must depend on the main clause. That is, when I'm talking about main clause, you should know that I'm referring to alpha clause. Example of beta clause. Number one, example of beta clause. Whenever she gets O. Whenever she gets, if a statement is made, as in, whenever she gets O without furtherance, it is called that the statement is yet to be completed. Get it? Whenever she gets O, what's happened? Sleep, play, doing assignment, what? Because a lot of questions will be coming to your mind. Can you see? So this statement can rest on another clause, which is alpha clause, to convey the full thought, the full meaning. Before that, let's do the analysis. Whenever it's an adjunct, then she, that is subject, then get predicate of home, adjunct. So whenever she gets home, she cooks the food. Do you have the realizations of the meaning of the statement now? Whenever she gets home, she cooked the what? The food. Or she cooked the food whenever she gets home. Example two, because he was the captain. Full stop. This is a clause that cannot stand on its own. That is, because he was the captain, and that is full meaning by indicating it with a punctuation mark, full stop. And you see, because he was the captain. So let's do the analysis. Because an adjunct, he subject, then was predicator, the captain, that is object. Object he, that is, the object has to do with the subject here. It will be object direct object. So, because he was the captain, he played the ball. Is it? Because he was the captain, he played the ball. Or he played the ball because he was the captain. These are the two types of clause we have in English. This is beta clause and alpha clause. Then beta clause further to have, two classification. We have it as structural classification, then we also have it as functional classification. Let's look at the structural classification of beta clause. Structural classification of the beta clause. It can be classified into two ways. It can be a finite beta clause and non-finite beta clause. That is under the structural classification of beta clause. It can be what? Finite beta clause and non-finite beta clause. When I'm talking about finite beta clause, this is a finite verb as one that can be, inflected for number. It can be inflected for number, it can be inflected for tense, and it can be, pluralized, as in it can be in singular form and plural form. These are referred to as a finite beta clause. That is, its function. The verb in that clause can be what? Can be finite. That is to say, you can have it complete meaning without depending on another verb. Examples of finite verb. Examples of finite better clause. Number one, the boy who broke his legs has been referred. The boy who broke his leg has been referred. Who broke his leg? This is a better clause. No, this can be removed from the statement, and the statement will still convey its meaning. That is, the boy has been what? Referred. So, who broke his leg is a better clause. That is, the broke here is finite verb. Broke here, and it reflects what? Tense. That is, here is what? Past tense. So it reflects tense. So it can be past. If it is break, it will be what? Present. If it is breaks, it will be what? Singular. If it is break, that's the present plural. So it reflects the what? The finite verb here. Now, these kinds of verb or these kinds of clause is referred to as a better or finite better clause. Finite better clause. That is it. Number two, the woman who works in the bank has been promoted. So, who works in the bank is better clause here. So, we can also remove this group of words and we still have the woman has been promoted. Who? Which woman? The one who works in where? In the bank. So, works here is finite verb. Works here, that is finite verb. So, these kinds of group of words is referred to as finite better clause. Better clause. Finite better clause. So, that's how to identify a better clause. Then, putting in structure. So we have who as subject here, as we're having it as a as subject here. So works here as a predicator. So broke here, predicator. Works here as predicator. In the back, adjunct. So has been. So this is another statement entirely. So we are taking this one out. So we have SPA. So that's all about the structural classification. Then we move to the next one, which is okay. Under this structural classification, we have it as two. We have it as what? Finite beta clause. Finite beta clause. Then we also have it as non-finite beta clause. Beta clause. So these are the examples of finite beta clause. Now, let's look at examples of non-finite beta clause. Non-finite verb cannot be inflected for tense and number as we have it in finite verb. So let's look at the example of non-finite beta clause. Number one, the men working on the land have been apprehended. The man working on the land has been apprehended. So, working on the land here is better clause. Working on the land cannot stand on its own. Now, let's do the analysis. The working here is the predicate. And what type of predicate is this? That is non-finite verb. So the working here is the predicator here. So, and the types of predicator here, unlike the finite, where we have either works or broke, the example I gave the other time. So the working here, so on the land is what? An adjunct. So these kinds of group of words is referred to as non-what? Finite beta clause. not finite beta clause. That is working on the what? On the land. So the next one here, we have those people living beyond their means are pretenders. So living beyond their means is a what? Better clause. It's a better clause. Living. So the living here is what? Is the predicator. Then, and what type of predicator is this? That is a non-finite beta clause. Not finite beta clause. So this group of words is referred to as what? NFBC. That is non-finite beta clause. These are the examples of beta clause. So that is, I've just explained structural classification of beta clause. So the other one, which is functional classification of beta clause. We are talking about functional classification of beta clause. We are referring to nominal clause, or you call it noun clause. Then we have adjectival clause or relative clause, either adjectival clause or relative clause. Then we have adverbial clause. Let's take them one after the other. So number one, we have a nominal clause, or either you call it nominal clause or noun clause. What's a noun clause? A noun clause is a group of words that is headed by a noun. So example number one, where Mr. Adeyemi is at present is unknown. Where Mr. Adeyemi is at present is unknown. If you look at this statement, it will sound somehow difficult to analyze. We have is here, we have is here. What type of sentence is this? Is this a simple tense sentence, or is this a complex or compound sentence? Let me tell you that this is a simple sentence. We only have the only one main predicator here, which is one of the is. So during the analysis, you are going to understand. So let's look at the structure grammatically. So if you look at where Mr. Adeyemi is at present is a nominal clause. Why is it a nominal clause? This group of words now, there is predicator here. For instance, let's do the analysis. Where is an adjunct? Mr. Adeyemi, that is subject, is predicator at present an adjunct. Can you see it? So if you look at this statement now, we have this underlying expression as noun clause. Noun clause, that is the functional classification of beta clause. Then, my group, we have up to 2 or 3 functions of noun clause. One, it can function as subject of the verb or subject of the verbal phrase, or sometimes can function as object of the verb or object of the verbal phrase. So let's look at this one. The next one, we have here, let's do the full analysis now. So here, now, this one now, this it serves as subject in full analysis. Serve as subject. So here we have the predicator. We have complement. Complement intensive. It has to do with where or no. Where or no. So this complement has to do with where here. So we have SPA. Predicator is, then the subject as a nominal group. We have it as where Mr. Adeyemi is at present. So example 2, I do not like watching horror movie. Watching horror movie is a nominal what? It's a nominal clause or noun clause. So the full realization. Now, let's look at the function. Don't forget that, okay, let me give you the function of this underlying expression. Is what? Subject of the verb is. In WAEC or NECO, there is what is the grammatical name given to the underlying expression? The grammatical name given to this underlying expression is a what? A noun clause. Now, the other part of the question we say, what is the function? What is the grammatical function of the underlying expression? Now, the grammatical function of where Mr. Adeyemi is at present is what? Subject. Don't forget that this is the subject position. Can you see it? Subject position. Subject of the verb is. You have your two marks there. Subject of the verb. So coming to this place. Now, watching or moving. The watching here is the predicator. Or moving here is just a complement. Complement. So here, what is the grammatical name? If you look at this place now, the grammatical name given to this underlying expression is noun clause. The grammatical name given to this underlying expression is a what? A noun clause. Now, what is the function? That is, it will be object. Now, this is the main verb. Don't forget, this is the main verb. Do not like. Do not like. Why this one is subject? Are you getting me? So the function will be object of the verbal phrase. No, this one says subject of the verb because we only have single verb here, is. That's why you say subject of the verb. We have one verb there. So while here we're having up to two verbs, the analysis of this verb, this one will be lexical, no, auxiliary verb, negator, and lexical verb. So this is a group now. The function of the underlying expression here will be what? Object of the object of the verbal phrase. Object of the verbal phrase or verbal group, do not like. Object of the verbal phrase, do not like. So these are the examples of nominal clause. Let's go to the next one, which has to do with adjectival clause or relative clause. That is, we can have it as adjectival clause or relative clause. What are the functions of adjectival clause in sentences? The function is actually to give more information about the noun they are talking about, giving more information. That is, they are qualifying the noun, either before or after them. So that's the function of relative or adjectival clause in a group of words. For example, the relative clause is further divided into two. We have it as restrictive or defining relative clause. We have it as a restrictive relative clause or non-restrictive relative clause. So the differences are this is the example I wrote on the board. Number one, the policeman who rescued the man should be rewarded. The policeman who rescued the man should be rewarded. So who rescued the man is talking about the policeman here. This type of adjective is referred to as descriptive adjective. Can you see it? So, who rescued the man? That is, we can remove this and still have our statement, as in the policeman should be rewarded. So, who rescued the man? Let's do the analysis. Who should be, that is, subject, rescue, predicator, the man. Who rescued the man? That is a object. Object. So now the full realization is the policeman who rescued the man. Here, all is subject. So should be rewarded. Predicator. So this is called the restrictive relative clause. The other one, non-restrictive relative clause. Example, the differences between the restrictive and non-restrictive that the relative clause in the group of words is not separated with punctuation mark, comma. If you look at this place, there is no comma here. If you look at this place, there is comma. The one that has comma is called non-restrictive. So it's the same statement, just that this one, there is no comma. Here, there is a comma. So here, The policeman, comma, who rescued the man, comma, should be rewarded. So who rescued the man is the same analysis with what we have here. This is what we refer to as a relative or adjectival clause. The last one, which is an adverbial clause, is the better clause that performs the function of an adverb in a sentence. That is, adverbial clause. That is to say, what's an adverb? Adverb has to do with a group of words or a word that is used to what? To modify, tell us the action, how the action be performed, where the action be performed, the manner of the action, the condition of the action, the concession of the action, the reason for the action, the result of the action, the place of the action. That is the work of adverb. So when I'm talking about adverbial clause now, it's a group of words that describe or give us or the reader the way the action in the sentence being performed. Example, number one, he was so happy when he saw his father. He was so happy when he saw his father. When he saw his father is an adverbial clause. Why is it a clause? It contains a predicate. Sometimes subject does not compulsory. So the compulsory element in a clause is what? The predicate, like so here in number one. So if you do the analysis here now, when is, so we have two, don't forget, we have two clauses here. We have from this place to this place is a alpha clause. Why? When he saw, that is beta or beta rather, beta clause. So the analysis here is adjunct. Here will be subject. Here will be what? That is predicator. Why this one will be complement. What type of complement it is father. Saw is father, complement extensive. So the real verb here now is what? Was here. The full analysis, this will be the full analysis. Don't forget that this one is alpha, this one is beta. So this one will be subject. The real subject in the sentence or in the statement is he. Now, why the real verb is was so happy. That is the manner. So happy should be a complement. So here we have from this place to this place. That is a so it's adverbial. That is a adjunct. So when is so that's adjunct of what? Of time. Adjunct of time. The next one we have she sleeps wherever she finds herself. So wherever she finds herself is a beta clause. While she sleep is an alpha clause. So look at it. Now wherever she finds herself. So wherever here is a adjunct, she here subject, find here predicate, a predicator, while this one is complement intensive, herself are. So it has to do with subject, complement intensive. You get it? So the full realization here now, we have subject, predicator, what? Adjunct. So what types of adjunct is that? Adjunct of wherever. That is adjunct of place. Get it? The last one here, we have the students have been crying because they couldn't save their friend. The students have been crying because they couldn't save their friend. Because they couldn't save their friend is a bitter clause. Why the students have been crying an alpha clause. So in the analysis of this one, we have that is adjunct, then here they, subject, then could not save, predicator, Then their friend could not save their friend. Complement, extensive. So then here is an adjunct. Don't forget that we are treating the classification of beta clause. So this is beta clause now. So here, the students, the subject, have been crying predicator. So we have S, P, A. So in the whole statement, why the adjective, the adverbial clause here is because they couldn't save their friends. Now, coming back to number one, to look at the grammatical function of example number one, which is when what? He saw his father. So the grammatical name of this underlying expression now is called adverbial clause. The reason why it is adverbial clause because there is presence of a what? Of a verb there, which is a predicator. So what is the function of the underlying expression now? It's what? It modifies the verb is. That is the function. It modifies the verbs what was. So you quote it because we are bringing it out from this place. That is function. Number two, whenever she what? She finds herself. What is the grammatical name? It is what? Adverbial clause. What is the grammatical function now? Look for the verb in the main clause. You look for the verb, not the verb in the real clause. That is the better clause. You don't look at the verb here. You are looking at the verb outside the underlying expression. The verb I took here is outside the underlying expression. Likewise, the verb here, what is the verb here? Sleeps. So what is the function will be now? It modifies, modifies the what? The verb. How many verbs do you have there? One. So the verb what? Sleeps. Quote it. The last one, the students have been crying. So you are not concerned with the verb in the underlying expression. You are looking at the verb outside the expression. You get it? So because they couldn't save their friend. So what is the grammatical function? The grammatical function is it modifies the what? The verbal group. Either you call it verbal group or you call it verbal phrase. Why is it verbal group or phrase here? No, we have one, two, three. We have three verbs here. We have three verbs here. Number one, we have, which is a anomalous verb. We have been, which is what? Primary auxiliary verb. We have crime, which is actually the lexical verb. So here will be a auxiliary, lexical. So this is a group now. Either you call it group or phrase. So no, we have a verbal phrase. So the answer will be it modifies the verbal group have been crying, have been crying. This is the grammatical function of the underlying expression. So I know if you are following me, you will understand the classification of a beta clause. I explained them obviously. That is the structural classification where I explain what is a finite beta clause and non-finite beta clause. Understand? Then under the structural, that is structural, functional now. Under the functional, where I explain nominal clause, we have adjectival clause. Now, other adjectival clause can also be referred to as relative clause. That relative clause can be what? Restrictive relative clause or non-restrictive relative clause. Then I also explain the last one, which is adverbial clause. Adverbial clause is actually used to modify verb used in a sentence. So it tells us, that is adverbial clause, tells us how an action is being performed, when that same action being performed, when and the place where the action be performed, the time the action be performed, and the manner where the action be, how the action be performed. Then talk about the consecution of the action performed in a sentence. These are what we refer to as a classification of beta plus under the functional classification. Thank you. If you have any question, you can send it to me under the comment section. Write it there. I will chat you personally or privately so that we talk together. So if you have any question, just share it with me. Thank you. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year in advance. Thank you. Bye bye.